Good evening. It's Monday night, but this by the time you see this, it'll be Tuesday, and Tuesday is Voluntary Living Day. It's the day that I share my views on voluntary living and what it means and what a voluntary society would look like. Last week, and if you should check out the video from last week, I talked about food security as being one of the ways to make yourself ungovernable, and that's kind of where I'm going. The theme right now is making yourself ungovernable, and one of those ways, of course, is food security. I've talked about that, and you can look at some of our other videos about what's going on at buckwheat farms as far as sustainability and permaculture and those kind of things. But here I want to talk about the psychological aspect of voluntary living, of the things that go on in buckwheat farms, and why we've chosen voluntarism, and again, how to make yourself ungovernable. And it begins with learning to live your life inside out, your thought processes inside out. We are taught to, or we're conditioned to have things brought to us, or to accept things outside in, to judge things on their external rather than our internal understanding of them. We've been kind of psychologically twisted. For me, it happened, the most telling incident, I remember second grade. In the mornings we would have, and this is going to tell you how old I am, in the mornings we would have a pledge and a prayer. So it had just begun, this was a thing you did in the schools. You prayed to both gods. And but they said, if you choose not to participate, you can step out in the hallway during the pledge and prayer. Well, I've always been a little bit of a nonconformist, so I stepped out in the hallway, shortly to be followed by a young teaching assistant who kind of shamed me into coming back in. And so I found out that I couldn't trust the teachers at their word. And then I go home and tell my father, and he agrees with the teachers. And so then I find out that I can't trust, or I think I find out that I can't trust my own feelings about things, my own understanding of things, my own, that I can't, that my understanding now of someone's word has been totally twisted. So then I began to operate from the outside in an emotional state. And most of us find that goes on. The wounds that we have, the illnesses that we have, the issues that we have are all the results of woundings that we've undergone. So in order to find our way out of that, to find our way to thinking inside out, and this is interesting because I spent Saturday, all day Saturday, riding with my brother, doing some work with him, and we get to do this once a month. It's a really good treat for us. We spend 8 hours in a car together, just talking about this kind of stuff. And we were talking about how it seems kind of interesting that all of the communities are that intertwine between those who are in the permaculture, back to earth, back to even primitive type living groups, and the voluntarist groups, and then of course those who practice metaphysical or some at least at the very least are into some form of meditation. And that's because they're trying to find out who they truly are. My brother so aptly put it this weekend, is peeling the layers of who you are and finding out who you are. The subject came up because he was talking about a phrase that he had used, and it was a racial slur that he had used, kind of a joking thing, and never thought anything about it. But again, when you start examining where these thoughts come from. And he's like, where did I, what? There's no way that I, as a child, would have come up with that concept, come up with that idea. And again, the thing is that it's natural for us to love. We don't have to be taught to love, but we have to be taught to hate. And that's where that internal has to come from. It has to be, and that's why things like meditation and even the things that I do as far as magic and the right path of magic and what they call the journey inward to find out again whose thoughts those were. So what does this have to do with voluntarism and being ungovernable? It's because your attention and where you focus your intention and your intent and even the energy you associate with that intention and intent have a great effect. And this is not some woo-woo thing. This is quantum physics based, that the observer has a direct effect on the thing being observed. And so there's an interaction of energies that occurs. And so when you focus those energies on those outward things, that's where your energy, and those outward things gain power, and they gain abilities, and they gain strength over you. It's one of the reasons that voting is not only a moral issue, as far as I'm concerned, not voting, that I don't vote, but it's also a psychological issue, because I don't want to cede psychologically that much authority to someone else. So when you begin that inward journey and you begin to know who you truly are, then you can express your truth. And the more I'm around people who take that inward journey, the more, and this is again why the paths converge, because in taking that inward journey, you understand that I and only I am responsible for the world that I have created. I'm responsible for everything that I have created in my world. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the good, and I'm okay with the bad. And you withdraw yourself from that need and that conditioning that we undergo to judge everything by the external, by the approval, by the likes on Facebook, and we begin to judge by an internal. And there's a higher moral standard that rises up in you that says, I don't need to run anyone else's life. I don't need to try to. Not only do I not want to have someone run my life, but I don't want to run anyone else's life. And that's the reason that I have chosen to use the term voluntarist rather than anarchist. Anarchist has come to, the news and common usage of the word has twisted it into something that it's not. But voluntarist. One of the things that we talked about this weekend, and again, this is all about how to become ungovernable, in that you stop seeking to govern other people. You stop basing it on fear that you've been taught of other people, and you ground yourself in the reality of this. That if you were to take warring group A and warring group B, and you were to take any individual from those groups, and you were to say, what is it that you really want more than anything in the world? And the majority of the time, I mean, there are psychopaths, there are outliers in every instance, but the majority, the vast majority of those surveyed would say, I just desire to be left alone, to live my life as I see fit, to enjoy my life with my family, and to enjoy this world. And if you were to ask B, well, what about you? Why? What would you? They're pretty much the same thing, right? Most people just want to be left alone. They just want to live their lives in peace. The only ones who want to stir up are governing authorities, whether it be religious, whether it be secular. So how do you become ungovernable? Is you truly govern yourself. take a look inside. You see, what is it? Where did those ideas come from? Where did this idea come from that the only way to solve an issue is to call a uniformed gang to come and do violence on someone? Where did that idea come from? Where did the idea come from that when someone told me an authority figure that I'm supposed to trust tells me one thing and then goes back on their word, and then the authority figure that I put my complete trust in tells me I'm wrong to expect someone to hold their word, then how honorable do I become? See, that's the thing. That's the ultimate thing. See, we are conditioned to live our lives from the outside in, to allow the world out there to create what's going on in here. And the world out there wants stress and striving, because that is what governments are about. But when you become ungovernable, you move in peace, even when the turmoil is going, even when the fighting is going. I've told you before, theology was my thing. I've read the Bible quite a bit. So I love the psalmist when he says 1,000 will fall at your right hand and 10,000 at your side, or something like that, but it will not come near you. You'll only be a witness to it. And when you become ungovernable in here, when you truly govern yourself, you say, my emotions are not moved by what happens out there, but what happens out there is influenced by my emotions. However you get there, that's when you truly become ungovernable, or as I crudely put it, unwithable. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me the thumbs up. If also share these videos with friends if you think they would enjoy hearing them, seeing them. I will have a link in the description section to our webpage. I'm still looking for some folks who want to be mentored in permaculture stuff in the Macon and Middle Georgia area. So if you're in that area, or if you're going to be in that area and you'd like to come by and say hello, just drop us a buzz. I'll put the email address there too on the website, I believe. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of this evening, and I'll be back Thursday with this week's farm report, and I finally got, I think, the last pieces to my my aquaponics system set up. So Thursday's show, I should be running at least running water, cycling water through the system, and through the hot water heater. I think it's going to work out great. Anyway, have a good night. It's time to go in and make dinner. Love you guys. Namaste.